My full name is Millionaire Thatch Pill, and my pronouns are she, her, and he, him.
And what's your ethnicity or identity?
I would identify as Khmer American.
And what's an occupation industry you're working in or working towards?
Mm. Right now, I am the volunteer coordinator at the Winglook Museum, but I'm also working towards um, being an illustrator and continually getting better at making and creating and conveying my ideas.
What is an ethnicity or race that you've been mistaken as? And can you share a story or example of this if you have one?
Ooh. um, I think I've definitely gotten asked if I am. Oh wait, no! Everybody's always like, "Are you Filipino?" Like even Filipino people, which is like okay. And my best friend is Filipino, so I'm like honorary, honorary swagapino. But yeah, I get mistaken for Filipino, which is interesting. And then which I think when there are Cambodian people who clock me as Vietnamese, and which is but my mom, I think she's half Vietnamese. But she doesn't really claim it or talk about it. So it's hard to feel proximity to that too.
And what is a stereotype you've heard about Cambodians?
Ooh. Specifically Cambodians.
Our community.
Our community. Hmm. Dang, I didn't think about that. I gotta think about that. I guess that like women are like kind of subservient. Like I think that's something that I've heard, even though like I don't think that's my lived experience. And like I grew up with a single mother, so like I definitely didn't really witness that.
Okay. And what does your family call you? Like a nickname?
Ooh, so since my full name is Millionaire, my childhood nickname was Near, so like the back end of Millionaire. Because I didn't know this, but like apparently they take your nickname from the end of your name, I guess. But then in fifth grade, I started going by Millie, because one of my teachers like gave me that nickname, and I just thought it was super cute, and I stuck with it. And so for the longest time, like they still call me Near, and they still call me Gon, of course, but like they've stopped. There was a shift when my mom stopped calling me Millionaire, like the name that she gave me, and then starts calling me Millie, and I noticed that. So they call me Millie now, but like I remember having to ask my mom, like, oh, can you please like still call me like Gon? Like that's what I prefer.
What's the first thing that comes to mind about being Khmer or Cambodian?
Um, ooh. Um, I think for me the immediate first thing is like language and like whether or not I know it, because I think that's something that I know. Like I know you don't need to be able to speak Khmer to be Khmer, but I think that's definitely almost like a standard. That kind of like sometimes even like elders might change how they talk to you, or even just like not really they can't engage with you if you don't speak Khmer. So I don't think I'm any less Khmer, but there's less connection that way.
Do you feel connected with your culture? Why or why not?
I do now. I think my connection to my culture has been it ebbs and flows actually. And I remember there's this really neat activity like where you did a timeline, and it was like drawing out like when you felt most connected to your culture, and then when you felt like least connected. And it was really cool like getting to sit in a circle and hear like what moments made people feel that way. And so for me, like when I was younger, I definitely felt a lot of connection that even if I didn't have the language to speak to it, like I knew that like every year was when we would drive down from Pennsylvania to Maryland to go to the huge temple there, and like that's when I would be surrounded by like my cousins and stuff like that. And that's when my family was together, so there was a lot more like Khmer spoken at home or like spoken with other family members. But then like towards the middle of my life, I would say I started to disconnect more because my parents weren't together. So my mom was mostly speaking English with us at home, and she was also kind of isolating us from other family. So we just weren't really having a lot of in touch with our community, and I think I definitely lost that for a time until college when I started taking Asian American studies classes and like first of all like noticing that like okay I don't see enough like I know I'm Cambodian and there's not like even within like some Asian American studies classes like I wasn't really getting to learn as much about Cambodian Americans, but then like kind of taking more classes and when I was writing my papers or doing projects like being able to talk about my story or learn about my heritage and history at first through an academic lens, but then kind of also being able to relate it to my own experience and be like, okay, like academic language, whatever, but I can speak to this and feel connected to this and now have kind of some more context too through learning, through education.
Why did you want to participate in this project?
I was really shy about participating in this project because my sister, I remember sitting at like a pizza place and my sister had shown me Sophia's Instagram post and she was like, Millie, like you should apply, like they're looking for, I don't actually remember the call. It was like definitely Cambodian people, but I don't know if it was like just queer. I think it was like just all the different aspects of being Cambodian. And I just remember being like, oh, that's so cool. And then also being like, oh wait, this is with the museum. I literally work at the museum and I've never heard of this. Like no one's talking about this. I want to be involved. But then I kind of chicken out. Like I get anxious. And so I just didn't really reach out for a while until like 2 months later. And I was like, is it too late to do this? Like real Cambodian time, reaching out 2 months later. And then it was just really busy for a bit. But then finally, in between like a couple hangouts, I was like, oh wait, we got some time. Let's just do this. And so, but I wanted to do it because I think that like I know like my experience and I've heard a couple other experiences of being Cambodian, but like there's just every time someone tells me about like this really cool like Cambodian person they know or like some really cool like Khmer person who's doing like I don't know just cool shit, I'm like dang, like I wanna hear about them and also like dang, like maybe I'm one of them. But no, yeah, it's really I don't know if I'll ever meet these other people in this project, but it's cool to kind of like imagine we're all kind of sharing our stories and they all kind of exist within this story bowl that like Sophia, her sister, is crafting. So we're in the bowl.
And share a fun fact about you or your culture.
A fun fact about me. Well, my favorite fun fact is like my name one, where I make people guess like my full name, because I usually introduce myself as Millie. But I can also say that like the story behind my name. I always thought that because I grew up low income, like I thought my mom wanted me to be like financially stable, and I kind of projected those feelings into what like how I felt I needed to think about my aspirations or about like my career. Or just like even just stability as a whole, like I felt was like ordained onto me. But then like I remember a few years back I was doing an interview with her and I had asked her like, why did you name me Millionaire? And I was like, I was ready to expect that story, like okay, here I go. But she was talking about how when she was carrying me and was like pregnant with me, she like it just wasn't like that stressful or painful of a labor, and then when she was giving birth to me, like it was the same thing. Like it felt like it was very like it was relieving. It was easy. Like it wasn't really scary. And so when I was born, like she said that she felt like she was happier than a millionaire, and so that's why she ended up naming me that. And I think that like I said, I've been going by Millie for probably more than half of my life now, and so that's what I really associate with myself. But Millionaire carries a lot of that like happiness, and it also happens to be a very non-binary name. So like I do kind of waffle between going by Millionaire, not just professionally, but like just in general, more to claim it. Yay.